The way that parents treat their children will teach them a lot more about how to value and manage money than charging their children rent. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. This commenter says the truth is parents who charge their children rent are angry and bitter because they didn't get that type of love and help from their parents, so they don't want to give what they didn't get. Most secretly want their child to pay and continue paying for things to the point that the parent doesn't have to use their own funds to take care of them anymore, in a broken backwards attempt to get taken care of, to make up for the void of not having nurturing parents. If anybody who's listened to me, and thank you so much for this comment, and I do think that there is some truth to what is being said here. If you listen to me long enough, I've talked a lot about how our relationships with money, sex, and religion is usually it's usually shaped by our ability to manage our emotions. Guess who teaches us about our emotions and our ability to be attuned to each other's emotions? Our parents and our caregivers teach us about our emotions, about love, about caring, about safety, about validation. Those first lessons about those major heavy hitting emotions usually come from our parents. Our ability to regulate our nervous system, a lot of times our very first lesson is from our family home. And if we don't learn that lesson, when we're being brought up, if we're not taught that in our relationships with our parents, if we don't feel safety, if we don't feel seen, if we don't feel heard, that's going to manifest in the trifecta that I named at the beginning. It's going to manifest in other areas as well, but you could almost always see that behavior playing out in some way, shape, form, or another. So if your parents deprive you of love, how does that deprivation of love, caring, and kindness manifest in your relationship with money? In a lot of times, what we've seen is people who don't feel loved, who don't feel cared for, who don't feel like their parents were emotionally attuned. What they look for or what they need, what they have is they feel emotionally neglected, right? And so what they have to do is they have to validate themselves, and a lot of the way they validate themselves is through methods of instant gratification. So Amazon, retail therapy, money just started burning through your hand, right? Because that is a way to get that gratification. You feel like there's an emptiness there, or there's a feeling there that you don't like, and so therefore you have to fulfill it in a way that feels good. You always need kind of a pick me up in some way, and usually that's going to manifest in relationship with spending. And there could be other ways in which it manifests in relationships with spending, but there can be such things as money trauma, but that comes from that relationship with your parents a lot of times. So if you have, parents that are hostile, that are angry, or that are unsafe, that will always manifest. Another way I've talked about money, I've talked about boosters and scammers, people that commit all types of financial fraud. A lot of in fact, I'm trying to rack my head really quick. I don't know if I've ever worked with a person that's committed fraud that isn't trying to gain their parents' validation through those fraudulent activities. Major fraud is usually intergenerational, meaning that multiple family members have done it. It's usually passed down from generation to generation. And so it's something that the family knows well. family is maybe very materialistic or transactional. In other words, if you want me to be your friend, you want me to be cool with you, go steal something, go get me some money by illegal means, and things like that. So a lot of the bonding, and this can happen in cultures that are based on materialism as well. But a lot of the bonding through, people that commit fraud is through material gain. They want love, they want acceptance, they may even want to stop boosting. But a lot of that gratification, a lot of that approval only comes when they give people stuff. It's the same thing with people that are narcissistic. A lot of times what they may do is they may give away, gifts or money to people to try and have, fans or people that think well of them. So it's not uncommon for them to, help a stranger out before they help the family. And so that, that again, that relationship is tied with money. That person is chasing that validation. They're wanting to be favored and looked at as like oh, this person is a valuable asset. They're not going to come right out and tell you that, but they're going to do that. And maybe it's not even like, sometimes it's not even necessarily giving money away, but it might be giving money away in other means. So again, it's not uncommon to have, gambling addictions. A lot of times people with gambling addiction, they're chasing that intermittent reward. They're chasing that high of feeling good. They're picking me up, but with gambling is essentially putting your money in a shredder. And like a lot of times there's huge losses, huge debts. And, but that person is constantly chasing, and it's very hard for them to quit because they get those intermittent boosts of winning or doing well, but they often end up losing a lot more than they end up winning. Of course, there can certainly be exceptions, but just to kind of give you an idea. Also, you know, money is a better servant than it is a master, which means that you need to be able to master your emotions and tell your money what to do. You cannot do that if you grew up with controlling parents. And all control may be different, but if you grew up with parents that are telling you, give me all your money, you can't have any say so, you can't have an opinion, you can't make choices for yourself, I tell you what to do with your money, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that experience and that expertise, um, let alone the voice, the confidence to be able to manage your money and tell it what to do. Um, and you most likely won't have that value either because you were never allowed to understand how to build that value. And therefore, the things that you value, you keep close to you. The things that you do not, you let it wither in the wind and you don't even care until it's too late. But even then, sometimes you don't even have the skills to be able to manage it. Even though logically you know something's amiss, there's often a lot of feelings of shame and embarrassment and just like, I can't even ask for help because I feel so ashamed of my mistakes. Children who grew up being abused, severely neglected, and severely rejected often have a high price to pay when it comes to money management, and emotional well-being that plays a significant role in money management. So let me know what you guys think. I hope that helps. Like, comment, share, and follow. Thanks so much.